Paying it forward in business is really important.
Communication is key.
It's easy to get rich as long as you do it slowly.
What differentiates you as a group?
Our whole business is relationships.
Be somebody who is easy to work with, be somebody who's honest, but also know your stuff.
People ask me all the time, like, what are the red flags?
You know, if you can make it through the next, this period, however long this lasts, you're just going to be viewed differently than people who didn't.
The way we get to asymmetric returns is just by being patient. And, the Buffett quote that I was about to refer to was, it's easy to get rich as long as you do it slowly. And his quote goes on to say, no one wants to get rich slowly. Everyone wants to get rich quickly.
Especially like the Gen Z generation,
yeah.
Right? It's amplified now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's no patience, right? Especially in the age of social media where you just constant stimulation and you want, everything fast.
Right.
You want your food fast.
Instant gratification.
Right. You want your media fast. You want to get money fast.
Your returns fast.
Return fast. So, yeah, we get to asymmetric returns or alpha mainly through patience. Making sure that we're disciplined, we're recognizing where we are in the marketplace, going back to a Buffett philosophy. Are we getting value? Are we getting real value? Are we getting deep value? Or are we overpaying? And real estate investors historically have lacked patience. We're not a patient group as a whole, even though real estate is slow. And most real estate strategies require time, right? Especially when you're in development, right? You're talking now 3.
Oh yeah, you don't see a dollar till you get CFO.
Yeah, exactly, right? 3 to 7 year strategies,
yeah.
Right? But even on your side, right, the multifamily value add, right? Those are 3 to 5 year strategies, at best.
And we're the quicker ones, right? I think there's longer hold periods out there.
For sure.
What differentiates you as a group? If you're invested, if you have a partner that's giving you, that brings to your desk a really quality industrial opportunity that you wouldn't have otherwise seen, I don't know that I really care what your management capabilities are, because at that point you're effectively an intermediary. You're a sourcing mechanism, not to dehumanize it, but you're bringing a deal to us that we wouldn't have otherwise seen, and you should get compensated for that. But we don't really need you to be an expert at managing it. It's pretty straightforward to manage, and we have a very capable in-house management team on top of getting a property manager. And so from that perspective, your differentiation means nothing to me. What matters is what is the opportunity, and does the opportunity make sense? And that's specific to certain product types. And the multifamily space is highly operationally intensive and highly management reliant. And so your abilities and your capabilities and to the extent that you can drive return alpha by way of your management expertise, it makes all the difference. On top of just there being less risk of there being something catastrophic that happens, which is its own consideration. And so when I'm spending time with a new operator to us, or an operator with whom we don't have experience, I'm trying to ascertain what is the thing that differentiates them from other groups. How can they generate a return alpha? What is it about that group that is either different or exceptional? And that's a hard thing to do at times when there are a lot of operators out there. But I can tell you that not every operator has an answer to that question. And I'm not putting them on the hot seat, but you can kind of gather through your discussions. And if groups are kind of out there just trying to allocate capital for the sake of generating fees, or if they really feel like they have a predetermined, well thought through approach to managing real estate. And that goes a really, really long way, because it is always easier to go with the thing that in order to go to a new product. And this applies beyond real estate. You have to feel like that new thing is so much better than the old thing, such that you're willing to take the risks of taking, on the relationship that has more unknowns than the thing with which you have experience. And so that goes a long way. That isn't the entire picture. Obviously, the opportunity has a ton to do with it as well. So if you don't bring interesting deals, then you're not going to do those deals. And so from a sourcing perspective, the capital markets folks out there do such a good job canvassing the market. And these days there are more off-market deals than in prior years. We'll absolutely look at broadly marketed deals with partners, but we have a pretty good investment team from a coverage perspective. So more than likely, if it's marketed, we've seen it. We've at least screened it at a high level. So we should absolutely have those conversations. But I think the groups that can uncover deals that are not broadly marketed, A, and competitively bid, B, I think the likelihood of us doing those deals to the extent they're interesting, is just higher for those reasons. And so the more such deals that these groups can bring, I think the higher likelihood of us transacting. And then that's my universal answer. And then my personal answer is just relationships and having a level of comfort and trust, and just are you people that I like and want to spend time with and that I trust, and you want to, as I say, get in bed with. It's just, I place a high emphasis on that personally, and others obviously do as well. So having those relationships, having that connectivity with the team and the people matters a lot to me.
For sure. I mean, I think out of all the podcasts that I've done, at one point everyone just mentions how this is a relationship business, and it's just so important, and life's too short to do deals with people that you don't want to do business with. So there's so many deals and opportunities out there, but you want to do it with the people that you trust and you connect with. It's a really important point. And I would say, I guess, stepping back a bit, what your universal answer was, you need to have an edge, right? And you kind of put it into two buckets. You put it into an edge on the opportunity itself, like finding the deal and how are you going to, what's the story? But then you're also talking about who you are as an operator, what your edge is. And so, in multifamily, it's a very management intensive business. So we have in-house property management. That's one of our edges, right? But then from a deal perspective, how are you sourcing deals? What's your thesis in investing? Just bidding on an on-market deal and winning it market, it's just not enough for the cost of capital that we have and what you guys deploy as well. You need alpha. You need an edge to what typical returns are in real estate. You want to generate excess returns, and that's what we do as well. So having that edge, whether it's you as an operator or the deal itself, what the edge is on that particular investment, I think that's the universal theme. And if you can generate both, I think that's how you really break into forming those relationships and attracting equity and investors.
I really believe in networking. I think that, and I've always loved networking, and mainly because I love people. I think people are really fascinating, and I like places. And so understanding people, where they come from, what makes them tick, just is I'm curious about that. Being a first generation Australian, where my grandparents were from Europe, my parents, survived the Holocaust and ended up in Australia randomly.
Wow.
So Australia is made up of immigrants just like America. So I'm always fascinated by people, but I think what I always try to do, no matter what the market's doing, is go out there and network. Coffees, events, lunches, dinners. Sure. And sometimes when the market's really strong, people are like, oh, I don't need to grow my network. I don't need to go to that event because I've got too many deals going on. But then that can change really quickly. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to get out there again. Whereas if you consistently just have a mantra of, I'm going to go to that, annual real estate dinner every year, or I'm going to go to those, name your, event production company's event every year, or I'm going to get together with 5 of my real estate buddies and have a dinner. Our whole business is relationships.
For sure.
Right. And people are always on the move. People always got new strategies. And so if you are keeping up with that, that can create opportunity as well. A lot of people who I, meet with are like, oh, we didn't know you do self-storage. I'm like, yeah, well, we do. So they're like, oh, I think I have a deal. Well, great. Send it to me. So if you don't network, no one's going to know what you're up to. And it's also just fun.
Yeah.
Right. And so I try to always make time for that no matter what the market cycle is doing.
Exactly. I mean, part of the reason starting this pod was the networking aspect, excuse to sit down with you for an hour, excuse to hear what other people are up to, great mind. I didn't know you were doing self-storage until right now.
And now the world knows.
Exactly. So it's just a great way to connect. And as you said, this is a relationship-driven industry. The numbers, the yields, everything we've been talking about for the past hour, it's nothing compared to like who your partners are, what you're trying to do, what are the relationships, who you're going in the trenches with. And networking is a huge aspect of that. It's also a great way to pick market knowledge, see, this is an industry where insider trading is legal. So getting that tidbits from other people on kind of like where things are trading, that's all through social and networking.
Right. And it also comes down to trust, like if you're out there and you've got a good reputation and people trust you, like they're going to be more forthcoming with, information, with ideas, with what's going on. And that just helps, helps everybody. Because at the end of the day, we all want to transact, right? Our whole business is driven by transactions.
Right.
That's how our industry turns. And so, in a down cycle, when transactions are harder, your network can be so powerful, right? Like you decide that you want to get into a new market, Savannah, Georgia. It's like, okay, I went there once, but it's like, who do I know that knows someone in Savannah that I can get so I can get a real answer. Hey, David, you guys have done something like this cross street. What's this area like? You're like, oh my God, stay away from that. Right? Whereas sitting behind a desk in LA, looking at a Google map, right? Which is not how is how you kind of start looking at deals, but ultimately you always got to get up from behind the desk and go see the real estate. But being able to tap your network to understand something more local where you're not from, hugely powerful. You don't do that by not attending events and going for dinners and going to broker things and going to conferences and stuff like that.
Paying it forward in business is really important. And when you can help somebody or do something for somebody unconditionally, sometimes you don't realize the ripple effect that could happen. It can have, because when you give something to somebody and they are able to grow and succeed and benefit from it, the good news is most people want to do the same thing for others. So paying it forward is a very important concept in business. And I've seen that in action where, you help people be successful and they help others, and there's a huge ripple effect. I believe strongly in the entrepreneurial spirit, and, real estate people are creative, they're entrepreneurs. And I think believing in yourself and going for it is really an important element of diving in the water and taking a chance. But also, don't be afraid to ask for mentors. I think mentorship is so important. Getting advice from people that have been through different situations, or call it the elders, or people that, in your industry, or someone that you want to learn from. A lot of times, if you just feel comfortable and asking somebody, they'd love to impart that wisdom on you. And I think being able to surround yourself by great people and great mentors, and then treating people with respect, having a commitment to people, being honest, being full of integrity, builds that trust and relationships. You talked about relationships, and I would tell you, business to me is about relationships. I love talking to everyone. I love meeting new people. I love the power of connection. And I think, it's a gift to be able to meet people and learn from people. And, I believe in hugging everyone. I believe that, you always want to look at the good in people and find the good in people. And so, things aren't always going to work out on day one. So hard work and perseverance and having a never ever give up attitude is also extremely important. And we all have an opportunity to put our mark in this world and make our world a better place. And I would also recommend that giving back to community and getting involved in charity. There's so many amazing charities and there's so many great causes, and you can't forget to give back. We have the Laz Charitable Foundation, and we have a day of giving on our anniversary on June 15th, and we're now making that a week of giving. And we have so many Laz people that are not only giving money, but more importantly, giving of their time and effort to volunteer and make a difference in people's lives. Our charitable foundation, besides the United States, also has helped people in 7 different countries and thousands of people. We've been able to touch lives.
Amazing.
Not just in this country, but outside of our country.
That's amazing.
And people, by the way, want to work with companies and with people that have a higher purpose. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important for people to understand what your higher purpose is and what's your why. And, our higher purpose is about creating opportunities to help people. And you have to live that mission. And when you do, great things happen for you.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception a bit when you can only be involved in philanthropy and giving back if you have the money to do so. And in order to have the money to do so, you need to focus on your career first, and then maybe you do philanthropy later in your life when you have the means to. I think that's a completely wrong understanding of philanthropy. It comes from a mindset from day one, which I've seen in you. And when you have that mindset and you have that purpose, it attracts others to work with you because they know that they're working with someone with a higher purpose, and it breeds success innately. Philanthropy doesn't come from, is not a result, but it's part of the journey, and it's part of also connecting, and it breeds success through that higher purpose. So I think it's something that you just got to have the mindset day one. And sure, over time, as you make more money, you can maybe donate more than you were in the beginning, but it's a mindset from day one. If you can't give money, you give time, and you spread the word. And so there's so many ways to help and give yourself a purpose rather than just, stroking a check.
Communication is key, right? You've just got to communicate with everybody, be it your investors, be it your lenders, be it your brokers. When things are bad, the guys that fail are those that bury their head in the sand. The guys that go into the fetal position in the corner, don't want to deal with the problems. You can't be like that. You've got to have courage. You've got to be brave. Life is full of ups and downs. It's peaks and valleys. Sometimes it's great and everyone's at the top of the world, and sometimes you're at the bottom and you're like, how the hell did this happen to me? Keep lines of communication over. And that's it on the acquisition side. Let's say you're chasing a deal and things don't work out. Don't put in an offer and then disappear, right? I can't stand guys that just disappear on you. Just keep communication open. Talk to your lenders, talk to your brokers, talk to your sellers, talk to your investors. If you do that, everything will be fine.
Yeah, it's true. It goes back to what you're saying of like relationship business, right? It's not just about putting offers, disappearing. It's about keeping the open line, having the relationship, staying in front of everyone.
I think you do great at that. You're very communicative. Like we've chased deals from Hampton Avery, and then the swing has happened, things have happened, your insurance has happened, and you've never hidden from that. You've been always straight up and honest, and I love that. That's the way to be. Say, hey, I love the deal. I wanted to be here. My insurance came in at $2,400 a unit. That kills my cash flow. I can't do the deal right now.
Yeah.
Can you help me with another insurance broker? Which we did. Say, talk to this guy or talk to this guy. So that is a critical factor. And I think a lot of younger people don't understand that. They just disappear. They go into the fetal position, and that kills them for the future, because then the brokers and the lenders, they don't want to waste their time.
Exactly. It's actually almost like everyone's working together in this environment to get a deal done. Yeah. It's not even about competing. It's about like, hey, can we all work together to make a deal happen and get it done? And being on, just what we were saying before, being honest, saying like, this is how I'm underwriting the deal. This is what we have going on. This is our fund. These are the returns we need to hit. And like, it is what it is. Let's get a deal done.
Let's get a deal done.
If you did some deals in 21, 22, we all did. If you can point to performance around that, working with a lender, if it got to that point on a deal, and say to whomever the point of contact is at the fund you're trying to raise from, look at the asset management we've done. We've been able to do through the hard times. Then you've survived and you've proven yourself. You're now a battle-tested veteran. It should be easier for you to raise money. I know it probably doesn't feel that way, but here, in the investment committee room, we're saying, who are the people that made it through, who know how to buckle down and survive that OPEX increase, that rate increase, and got through it? If you can make it through the next, this period, however long this lasts, you're just going to be viewed differently than people who didn't.
You could show your battle scars, right?
Exactly.
I think
investment committees dig scars.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Chicks dig scars, so does investment committee. I think what you're going to see coming out of this is a lot of sponsors who have scars to show, but it's all going to be a little bit relative, right? Some are getting wiped, some are going out of business, some have personal guarantees getting triggered, while others did not only good work, but honorable work. They saw that, hey, this might have been a loss, but we moved the NOI this much. We moved operations this much. We have this to show. We learned from our mistakes. We made some new hires. We have a strong asset management team. And I think a lot of allocators, I hope, can at least see through that and see, hey, this is a group that has gone through multiple cycles, including this recent one. We can work with them.
That's right. The best thing you can say, maybe the best thing you can say on an investment committee call today, at least to my group, is we're going to go see the deal. Me personally, the sponsor, I'm going to be at the deal constantly, whatever that is, every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. I'm going to go live in one of the units, That's a little extreme, but some people do it.
Some people do it.
I don't know how they have a family and do that, but
married to the game. Married to the game.
To the game, yes. Yeah. Because investment committee before that call just stepped out of an asset management meeting where they're probably upset at some sponsor who they bought 70s and 80s vintage stuff with in 21, who isn't, they feel like, paying enough attention. And so if you can massage that for them, it helps a ton getting a deal done. And I hope you'll also do it when the deal does get done.
Right.
People ask me all the time, like, what are the red flags? And I just don't think about investments that way. I think the only 2 red flags that I've published are the word guaranteed, because I have a whole article on this, but even if you're personally guaranteeing something, that does not mean it's guaranteed. And some other ones are no return of capital clause, believe it or not, that exists. It's very basic stuff for any syndication, but I've seen deals that don't have it. Those 2 are really the only red flags, right? Meaning those are basically reasons to just put down a deck and never speak to the GP again.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion. Now, just some simple feedback, you would not believe how many decks I see that either don't have an address for the property at all in the deck, or it's just extremely hard to find. Sometimes I look for it for 3 minutes and I'm like, come on, guys. There's LPs literally passing on this deal because they can't Google the place. Just basic stuff.
Yeah, going through your GP LP match, it was interesting with some of the check boxes that you had and said does your deck list all the fees that the GP is charging? I'm like, wow, how can you have a deck that doesn't have that? What your
50% of them don't
as a GP.
50% of
something
them
simple
don't.
like that. So I'm sure those small items are probably turnoffs, and it's interesting to hear from you as someone who's seen so many of those decks. of what people are doing and not or leaving out.
Yep. Yeah, it happens a lot, and I very intentionally like put the questions in that way because, as I said, like many investment decks don't have fees. Many investment decks don't have an address. They don't have a sources and uses. You know, there's just like very basic things that I think decks should have, and you'd be surprised how many don't.
When it comes to sponsor advice, I think transparency is key. Be somebody who is easy to work with, be somebody who's honest, but also know your stuff, right? Don't send somebody like it's common sense, but I see so much business, and when I say things that seem like common sense, I'm speaking because I see so much crazy things from sponsors. Know your stuff. Don't speculate in your underwriting. If you're showing somebody a business plan where you're like, there's one thing that I'm comfortable saying this example out loud because I did directly tell the sponsor my opinion a few days ago. But if your business plan is literally based on interest rate movement, cap rate movement, like that's bullshit, right? You need to be able to find deals with good fundamentals. Focus on opportunities where you have healthy immediate yield. You want to buy assets with a 6% year one cash on cash if you're going old, pre-2000s maybe. If you're buying newer properties, core markets, great locations, a real class A lot, 5's fine, right? But if your business plan, this is a really good piece of advice, honestly, for all sponsors watching who are smaller at least. If you're trying to buy an asset where your year one cash on cash is well below like a 5%, and it's like a 1980s, 1990s property, and your asset that you're under contract to buy is like 90, it's stabilized, and your business plan is to just push rents, that is a very tough story right now. It is extremely contrarian to equity. And that is, if I would as a sponsor want to align with where there's the largest box of interest from investors to have the highest probability of getting a deal over the finish line. I've done deals gratefully that are contrarian. 1920s vintage, population of 50,000, the Boondocks, right? There was a deal where the median household income within like a small radius of this asset was $21,000. We were just joking back and forth, and they couldn't breathe laughing. So this is the first time I think in my career I underwrote a deal with this type of median household income. I mean, it's crazy, right? But
That's low.
so like people don't want to do these type of deals. That is an illiquid transaction profile. I'm not telling you don't pursue if you think there's a good opportunity. I have contrarian investors. I've done it, but that's just you're not aligning with the theme of the market. So your probability of just closing transactions go down if you don't know who those anomalies are, right? We only take an anomaly transaction because we know exactly who's doing that, that contrarian play, and it's fairly black and white for those folks.